Welcome to the Art of Selling Art, and welcome to Coaching Over Coffee. If you haven't been here before, Coaching Over Coffee is a thing I do in this Facebook group where I just find some interesting things to bring, some interesting ways to bring some knowledge and some practical application of marketing, sales, business, tech, finance, whatever, to your art business so that you can start moving the needle now. Normally I do this live, but today I am traveling. Right now, I'm literally on an airplane going to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'm attending some training of my own. Because if your coaches don't have coaches, then what the hell are they doing? Learning is a lifestyle, right? So I want to talk about these marketing tips that I saw online. It's like a presentation I've seen go a little bit viral on a few platforms. And the way that I built Art of Selling Art, the way I built my art career, and then I built Art of Selling Art, is by taking what other businesses were doing, businesses that were aligned with my customers and my strategic audience, and recrafting it to something that made sense for artists. So I want to do that for you. Let's take a few years of marketing school and let's translate these lessons into art talk. Okay. Sell features, not benefits. I see out in the art world, I see a lot of people saying how big their art is, what paper it's on, what kind of frame they have. And the collectors really don't care. The collectors want to know that they are getting something amazing. And the way that they are going to know that is by understanding the features, not the benefits. So what does that mean? What does your art do for people? This is really it. You're probably going to hear me say this a lot during these next few slides because your why is the reason people are buying. Your why is the feature of the art. Unless there is another feature, some of you have artwork that is also functional. Some of you have artwork that includes lighting and whatnot. Those might be features, or those might be features, but you want to sell like the actual reason that people are buying. You know, so I really like this example: 1,000 songs in your pocket versus 5 gigs. 5 gigs of storage doesn't mean anything. Just like premium canvas or special paints doesn't mean anything to the buyer. What matters is that there's a feeling, an experience, an emotional response that they're going to get from owning the stuff, owning your art, and keeping it in your home. Right? So sell features or sell benefits, not features. Scarcity drives demand. I see a lot of artists with open editions, which is basically the biggest giant no-no in the quote-unquote fine art space. So scarcity drives demand. Scarcity drives attention. Right? Now, if you can put those two things together, then in Art of Selling Art, there is a full standard operating procedure or SOP for a timed limited edition timed release. So how do you release art with high scarcity and short time frame in order to command attention and drive demand? But what you can take from this basically is stop doing open editions, right? Stop doing open editions the way that you've been doing them, if nothing else. Now, number 4, people don't care about your product. They care about what your product can do for them. This is a lot like the benefits versus the features. And again, it's not what kind of art you make, it's what does your art do for people, right? What is your art going to do for someone's office? What is the elevated lifestyle? What is the source of inspiration, or what is the key emotional benefit they're going to get from buying, from collecting and displaying your art? Or if it's in a public space, or if they're they're the type of collector who wants to have a piece in their public facing rooms, what is it going to do for the room? What is it going to do for the conversation? Those are the things you need to talk about, not that you have really great paper, because everyone has access to that paper, that metal, that acrylic, that oil, that, any of those things. So what is your art going to do for people? Marketing is not about which product you sell, but it's about your story. right? So we're going back to the why, and the why of your art and the why or the story behind each artwork is what people connect with, right? Like people are going to be attracted to the visual of your work. They're going to say, "Oh, that looks amazing," and they're going to walk across the room or across the show to look at your art. But they're only going to buy it when they feel like the art resonates with them internally, when it gets past the surface experience and gets into something a little bit deeper. Right? And this becomes especially true when we start having overlapping art styles. I know there's especially in the photography space, there's a lot of people making the same types of photos. So it's the stories that we can attach to them and the personality and the person that we can connect to the art that is going to make an art collector or a retail art buyer feel like they're making a great purchase. Right. I posted this the other day. What do you actually need to create content? Yes, you can have a fancy mic, you can get a fancy camera, but most of our phones are better than most of the cameras from the last decade. Our phones are amazing with their ability to take pictures. So all you need is your phone and some unique ideas and the flexibility to work around lighting. So let's say I told one of the TASA members that they needed a better light. And they were working in a studio that was in a garage or in a basement, so there was no outside light source. But let's say she wanted to make the same video but didn't have the light to do it, where you could go outside or you could go next to a big window and position it on one side of you so that you have nice light that comes around your body and lights everything in your art space up attractively, and boom, you solve that problem. So all you need is some creativity and a good tool, which in this case is just your phone. And Ansel Adams said the best camera you have is the one that's in your pocket or the one that you have with you. And in this case, that one that we have with us is always in our pocket. So let's just use that and let's stop making excuses why we're not making content. Now, I found this one to be really, really special, and it's at surface value. It's pretty much the same for every industry. You want to attract an audience with good content, but you want to connect with them deeply with longer form content. So you can have reels and you can have short videos on your social media and your social sites, whatever they are. And then on your website, you can have longer form content that allows people to really sink in. And if they're going to your website, chances are that they're a little bit more invested in learning about you and what you do. So you can have longer form content there, whereas on social media, it's a little bit less so. You can have long form content on socials as well. It just, a lot of the people who aren't into the loyalty phase of their customer journey aren't going to stick with it. But if you have enough who are, then you can still make that content successful. All right, selling prevention is hard. Selling a cure is easy. So how does this translate to art? Right, this is a tough one. This is definitely a principle in marketing that selling the solution is always better than selling the problem. So what is the problem? That's something that you need to understand about your collector. Like in general, all of our collectors have the same problem. They have empty spaces in their homes. Now that problem goes deeper for a lot of people. It's not only that they have an empty space, it's that they are looking for something that resonates with them, which again goes back to who you are and why you create your art. So if you can have an art form that resonates with people with a story, then your story is the cure, right? And then on the more surface level or on the philosophical side of things, where if people want to be seen a certain way, they want to be seen as an art collector, they want to be seen as somebody who, for someone who supports the arts, what am I trying to say? For someone who supports the art community, then some part of what you do is in the cure is sort of pumping them up in the public space, or how the artwork is going to pump up their presence in the spaces that they have people in. So understanding your customer, like what is the problem that needs to be solved? And it's always going to be their internal problem, which is the reflection of your why. And then the other problems that need to be solved have to come from understanding who your person is. Do not offer them to buy your stuff. Show them a dream. Okay, what you're selling to them is a completed home. a home that feels more than the sum of its parts, because the art takes it to a new level. So when you talk about putting a piece of art up in the home, it's not as much about solving an empty wall issue as much as it is creating a source of inspiration and quiet. Well, depending on what your art does. For me, my art brings people solitude and calmness, because my ideal customer has a lot of the opposite. They're very busy. They have a lot of inputs. They have a lot of drainage from their energy in their world. So they want to have something where they can escape to. So the dream is having a place or having a moment where they can look up and just completely evaporate from this plane and exist in the place where my art is. And that's the dream. So it's not, I'm going to put something blue in your room so it matches your couches. I'm going to put an escape on your wall. And that's the marketing message when it comes to selling the dream. Your product should complete your customer's life. And, like I said, a lot of these overlap, but one thing that you can emphasize when you're talking to people, and if you haven't already, yesterday or the day before, I posted a list of closes, and this one really, this idea or this marketing principle really aligns well with some of those closing strategies that I shared a few days ago, where your artwork is completing some problem that they didn't know they had. And one of the ways that you can close that sale is by assuming they've already fixed their problem, or assuming they've already found the solution to their problem. I am speaking to a lead right now, and she had been looking for art. She said she had been looking at thousands of pieces of art over the last few days, and she finally found a piece with me. Not one of my pieces, it's one of the tassel artists that I'm sort of represent. I definitely sell tassel artist work when I have the opportunity. She found something that completed her story. So that's what I mean. Like, your product should complete your customer's life, not add to it, but complete it. And when you're speaking with them, that's one of the ideas you can kind of hold in the back of your mind and shape your language to when you are speaking about closing the sale. How will this complete your home? How will this make your life net positive? Even though they're spending money, they're going to be net positive on the other side, because they're going to grow with the art over the generations. A good hook with average content goes viral. An average hook with good content flops. We were actually just talking about creating different forms of copy and creative, using a creative, which is the visual, a hook, and then the content. So it's really funny that this is what I'm talking about today, because just a few hours ago in the members only roundtable, this is what we were talking about. Your hook is all that people read. If they don't like your hook, if your hook doesn't actually hook people in, then they're not going to read your content. So it doesn't matter what you have in this white box if what's in this black box is terrible. So you'll lose 100% of the people who don't open this box, versus having an average hook and having really great content. If people open this box, you might gain some of them, but the hook is where a lot of people stop and is what a lot of people share. So having a hook on your content, a hook on your videos, a hook on your copy, a hook on your static visuals, those are going to be way more powerful tools or way more powerful assets than the content you write in the rest of your post. So this is a super important marketing principle to understand. If you don't write hooks, if you don't think of the first two sentences of your copy as being a hook, then chances are you're failing. So you're failing on social media. So change your mindset. If you don't know what a hook is, you can ask below, or you can just Google it, and you can share some hooks that you've written that have worked in the past in the comments if you would like. All right, last one is money is made by selling status. So you are not, this kind of goes back to understanding that people aren't buying a canvas from you. They're buying a source of inspiration and entertainment that's going to last them for months and years. And that's what you need to be selling, is the rock star status of being a supporter of the art community and being a person with good taste. And that's what you can celebrate. with people in your comment section, in your copy, when you share client testimonials or reviews. Like, share the emotional benefit of owning your art. Share the status, the social benefit of owning your art, instead of sharing that you have really special premium papers or some crap like that. All right? So that is our lessons for the day. That's Coaching Over Coffee. It was quicker than the normal 30 minutes, I hope. And one thing I want you to understand is that you have to do the work, but you don't have to do it alone. So if you're interested in going deeper on topics like this, going deeper on sales skills, going deeper on marketing skills and marketing content creation, then let's talk. Leave me a note in the comments below and we can start a conversation about whether or not Art of Selling Art is good for you.